Landlords and homebuyers will soon face higher mortgage rates in order to subsidize the cost of buying a home for lower income people with worse credit. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it has to do with the mortgage rates that people with good credit are paying. So, the Biden administration has decided that, hey, they want to make buying a home easier for people with bad credit. Like this hasn't already been a huge failure in the past. The whole economic collapse in the past was due to them lowering lending standards to try to get people with bad credit into homes. Well, they're trying a new thing now, right? And basically, what they're doing is they are increasing the cost that people with good credit are going to spend on buying a house to subsidize and make it cheaper and easier for people with bad credit to buy homes. Now, this sounds pretty dumb to me, okay? Basically, you're punishing people who did everything right, who worked hard to keep their credit good for years. It took me years to get my credit to a point where it is now on a good level. I had bad credit. Don't get me wrong. I had bad credit. I was in horrible debt. And what I did was I buckled down. I paid all my debts off one by one, just like Dave Ramsey says in his plan. And then I spent years building my credit back up to the point now where my credit score is over 800. But now the president says, well, I want to punish you, because you worked so hard to make sure that your debts were paid, that you paid your bills on time, to make sure that you don't have any problems on your credit report, right? You worked so hard that you need to subsidize this person over here who has crap credit, who never pays their stuff on time, who has outstanding debts. You need to pay for them. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me one bit. Like I said, they are pushing these policies that, punish what they consider to be the rich in order to give to the poor. They want to steal from the rich, give to the poor. Now, the rich, in the case of this kind of credit thing, right, isn't really the rich at all. It's the middle class. The middle class people who worked hard in order to buy their homes and saved up, invested, and finally were able to purchase their home now have to face higher monthly payments so they can subsidize the people who didn't do that. Okay? The same people who are getting down payment assistance because they can't even save up the mere 3.5% required for a FHA loan. Okay, these are the type of people who don't need to be in a house in the first place, and we're trying to push them into homes. Well, guess what? I'm not gonna think for 1 second that it's going to end well. Okay, it's going to end up with a lot of people who are in homes they can't afford ending in foreclosure, just like it did during the 2008 recession. Okay, so before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. What do you think of a plan that makes people with good credit pay higher mortgage rates in order to subsidize the lower costs for people with bad credit? What do you think of that? Do you think this is a good idea? I'm sure there's plenty of people watching this video who are tenants or maybe people with bad credit who are like, oh yeah, I personally benefit. Hell, that'll be great for me. Well, one day when you get good credit, if you ever get good credit, you're going to be suffering just like everybody else. And you'll be like, hey, wait, this isn't fair. This is garbage. Okay. So, anyway, let's get into this article. It explains a bit more about the details. This article is coming from Newsweek.com, and it says Biden raises costs for home buyers with good credit to help risky borrowers. And this hits landlords hard because we buy a lot more properties than other people. So, the cost it can add up to $60 a month to your mortgage payment. And this is after interest rates have already more than doubled within the last year. So we're sitting here, we're facing interest rates that have doubled. And then Biden wants to throw an additional $60 a month on top of that. Okay, we're barely able to get our numbers to work already. So if anyone ever wonders why landlords are raising the rents, well, you can just blame the president of the United States for his stupid policy. So let's get into the article. Homebuyers with good credit scores will soon be facing higher mortgage fees as the Biden administration seeks to close the racial homeownership gap and get more first-time and low-income buyers through the door. Starting in May, a new federal rule will upend the current structure of the loan level price adjustment matrix. Homebuyers with a good credit score could see their monthly mortgage payment rise by over $60 a month, while riskier borrowers will get a more favorable mortgage terms because their fees were reduced. It's a move that FA hopes will address housing affordability challenges in the U.S., but it's come under some scrutiny for being unfair and potentially ineffective. Yeah, it's 100% unfair. But on top of that, it is ineffective as well because that savings that these people are going to face is not going to save them enough money to be able to buy in expensive markets. Okay. Instead, the only thing it's going to do is punish a whole lot of really good credit people with good credit, such as myself, who buy homes, and it will reward people with bad credit. So you're rewarding bad behavior. That's what I don't like. I don't like when they reward bad behavior. You want people to take care of their credit. You want people to be incentivized to pay their debts off and pay them on time. That is the whole reason behind the credit score. Now, if the government steps in and just annihilates the credit score, that's what it seems like they're trying to do. Okay, it's not fair. It's not fair. Well, you know what? Lenders need an impartial way in order to determine who is a good person to lend money to. Just like landlords need the credit score as well to determine who a good tenant is to rent to. So I understand where the lenders are coming from, and I think it is 100% unfair and it's stupid. I can't believe for 1 second that anyone would push anything like this. I mean, come on, there's a lot of people on both political parties who are homeowners who do not want to pay higher fees and higher costs per month, especially after these interest rate increases. In the short term, this may increase homeownership among the targeted group, but I'm afraid it could decrease homeownership among the middle class, Jerry Howard, CEO of the National Association of Home Builders, told Newsweek. I'm not sure that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul here. Only about 25% of home buyers with federal housing administration loans are people of color, according to the White House. Black and Hispanic people, on average, have fewer savings to use as a down payment on a home and tend to have lower credit scores, according to David Stevens, a former CEO of the Mortgage Bankers Association and a former FHA commissioner during the Obama administration. So, what they're trying to imply is that the reason that people of color have a harder time buying a home is due to, I guess, racist policies. Well, that's not true. It's not true at all. And I guarantee that if someone came to me, I could probably coach them and teach them how so they can purchase their first home. It might not be where they want it to be, okay? But I could definitely help people get their credit improved, get their debts paid off, begin saving for retirement, and save enough money for a down payment on their first home. And I know all these things because I actually learned them myself, and that is how I got started. Okay, I wasn't always financially able to purchase rental properties. I had to grow and become a better person and learn about finances in order for that to happen. And anyone in this entire country can do that. And it really comes down to spending less money than you earn, okay? Learning about the financial responsibility and taking personal responsibility for the position you're in and not blaming outside factors. He told Newsweek this can be attributed to factors like distrust in the banking system or being a first generation American, and that low credit scores can be a significant barrier to homeownership. But in order for the FHFA to close the gap by bringing down LLPAs for those borrowers, the agency has to compensate for the reduction in borrowing fees by raising the LLPAs of borrowers with higher credit scores, who tend to be white. The average credit score in white communities was 727 in 2021, compared with 667 in Hispanic communities and 627 in black communities, according to the data analyzed by Finn Masters, a personal finance blog. So they're going on averages. They're going on a lot of assumptions here, right? Now, yes, average credit scores for black people are lower, but that doesn't mean that, one, black people are incapable of having a higher credit score. I'm proof of that myself. I have an over 800 credit score. Okay. My mom, she also has an over 800 credit score. And my mom is not a high income person. She would actually be categorized as a lower income person, but she pays her debts on time, and she does, she pays them. She pays them. Okay. She just pays them. She doesn't have any outstanding balances. She doesn't have creditors calling her. And she has been proven to be credit worthy through, 30, 40 years of doing everything right. So, you can't tell me that simply put having a lower credit score has to do with being lower income or being with your skin color. I've met more black people than you can imagine who have good credit scores. So, to me, that is just an excuse. Now, it is going to punish people from all ethnic groups. It's going to punish people from all walks of life, from all income levels when they pass this sort of thing. And who is it going to benefit? The few buyers who step in, and you know what, if you aren't able to get your credit worked out right, if you aren't able to save up for a down payment, maybe you aren't ready to buy a house. Why is that so hard to fathom that you might not be ready to buy a house? Okay, you need to get your affairs in order first. It's pretty simple. I mean, I had to wait a long time to buy a house. I didn't just come out and at 21 years old and just, oh yeah, great. I didn't come out there when I had bad credit. I had horrible credit, and I had a ton of debt, just credit card debt out the yin yang, and I was not ready to buy a house. So having the government step in and say, "Oh well, here's the down payment money. Here's a whole bunch of beneficial stuff. Oh, we'll lend to you when you have a bad credit score." That would have been terrible. I would have lost that house so quickly that it wouldn't have even been funny. And I'm so glad that I was smart enough to realize the financial position that I was in and make the decision on my own not to even pursue that avenue, because that would have been disastrous. So I don't like that the government is stepping in here and trying to give people who obviously aren't ready to buy homes yet a leg up. My personal opinion is save up the down payment. Well, first of all, get your debts paid off. Get them all paid off. Learn about financial management. Learn how to take care of your finances. Start putting money aside. Learn how to save and invest. And when you are ready, it might be 5 years down the line. It might be 10 years down the line. Okay. I purchased my first rental property when I was 34 years old. Okay. It wasn't the first home I bought. The first home I bought, I was a little bit younger, and I darn near lost it because even though it was a cheap home in the inner city, I lost my job during the Great Recession and I couldn't make the house payment anymore. So I barely got out of that situation. So, that's why I say this is so important, but they don't need to be propping up people who can't actually afford homes yet. And they really don't need to be punishing people who are buying homes who learn the proper way to deal with their credit.